and welcome to Catalan News. It's 1 week until the beginning of the electoral campaign in Catalonia. Parties are holding events presenting their tickets, but some candidates can't take part because they are in Belgium or in jail. In fact, today most officials that are incarcerated have delivered new appeals to the judge asking to be released. The Spanish Supreme Court has taken over their cases and they will have to make a decision on their imprisonments. Here at Catalan News, we'll get you the latest about these judicial cases, and we'll also interview a candidate for JxCatalunya, Puigdemont's ticket. Let's begin. There is no reason for the dismissed ministers to be kept in jail any longer. This is what their lawyers have told the court today in a letter. They've been in prison for almost a month now on the grounds that they might commit the alleged crimes of rebellion and sedition again, and that they can escape from Spain. The Spanish Supreme Court is now taking over their cases, so we'll have to rethink the National Court's ruling.
The lawyers for the jailed Catalan ministers haven't given up. They've requested for their clients to be summoned in a letter sent to the Spanish Supreme Court, the entity that took over the case. They also asked the court to change the imprisonment for a lighter penalty, for example, conditional freedom. Indeed, PDeCAT and Esquerra party lawyers argued that the reasons given by the Spanish National Court judge for keeping their clients in custody, like flight risk or destruction of evidence, are no longer relevant. The defense for Esquerra also stated that his clients accept Article 155, even though he stressed that Catalan officials won't give up on their political positions. Meanwhile, the Ciudadans leader considers that this is only a judicial strategy and that the officials still aim achieving independence.
Estaven dient davant els jutges que era una estratègia de defensa i una altra cosa era la intenció política. Per tant, jo no entro en la seva estratègia de defensa, el que sí que puc comentar és que políticament, si aquests senyors tornen a governar, tornaran a fer el mateix.
Meanwhile, PDeCAT's lawyer also asked the Spanish Supreme Court to suspend the €6.2 million bail imposed by the Spanish National Court, like when it released members of the Catalan Parliament Bureau on bail. Less than a month before the vote, some pro-independence candidates are still imprisoned, and the Secretary General of Esquerra denounced that not all parties running in the election are on equal terms.
I el que sentim en aquests moments és que les igualtats de condicions en aquesta campanya electoral no són iguals per a tothom, sinó que hi ha partits polítics que parteixen amb un cert avantatge electoral perquè no tenen els seus líders polítics a la presó, perquè no tenen els seus líders polítics assetjats, perquè no tenen els seus líders polítics perseguits.
Now, the Spanish Guardia Civil has eyes on Marta Rovira. The Spanish police body submitted a report to the Spanish Supreme Court stating that the Esquerra Secretary General is part of a strategic committee to achieve independence and that she attended meetings to prepare for the referendum.
One of the officials sent to prison on November 2nd and is now asking to be released is Carlosmundo, who was Justice Minister. Only some months ago, he closed down one of the most famous prisons in Catalonia, La Model, a symbol of Francoist political repression. Today, many consider him to be a political prisoner. Those against his imprisonment and that of the rest of the government have been sending hundreds of letters to the jailed ministers. This is what Mundo himself relayed in a letter to a Catalan radio station. He also explained how hard it is to tell the time apart in prison, and even mentioned that he spends up to 16 hours locked up in his cell. Receiving these letters has become an emotional part of the day, he wrote, so the Minister for Justice, disposed by the Spanish authorities, expressed his gratitude to the senders. Mundo and 7 other ministers are still held in custody, while some other officials are in Belgium. As the campaign gets closer, it's becoming clearer that it will be very atypical. Candidacies held several presentation events today, with Together for Catalunya focusing its efforts in its main leader, Puigdemont. He's been the president of the country for 2 years, but isn't able to campaign in Catalonia.
There is exactly 1 week until the election campaign kicks off. Parties are now presenting their campaigns, and today was the turn of the 2 tickets with candidates in prison. Puigdemont's Together for Catalunya candidacy is highlighting opposition to Spain's measures against Catalonia's self-rule. It also bases its arguments on restoring Puigdemont as the fully fledged Catalan president.
I cap dels membres de la nostra candidatura es planteja aquestes eleccions per escollir un president. President ja en tenim, és el president Puigdemont.
Another pro-independence party, Esquerra Republicana, also presented its electoral list today. Yet some of the candidates couldn't take part. They are either in prison or in Belgium. Oriol Junqueras, currently in a jail in the Madrid region, tops the list. Meanwhile, Catalonia en Comú presented the image for its candidacy. It is the only party that is not aligned with either the pro-independence or unionist blocs. Its leader, Xavier Domènech, took the opportunity to make it clear that his party rejects both Madrid's direct rule of Catalonia and unilateral independence.
Nosotros vamos a hacer unas propuestas, que son las propuestas que creemos que desbloquea la situación, y vamos a ver quién va a estas propuestas. Por eso he dicho que no vamos a ser árbitros, vamos a ser decisivos.
Yet not everyone in Catalonia opposes Mariano Rajoy's measures. In fact, the Ciutadans party rejects giving any legitimacy to the members of the Catalan government in prison or in Belgium. Thanks to an appeal by Ciutadans, the electoral board has banned Catalonia's public media from using expressions such as President Puigdemont. The board also forced the Barcelona City Council to remove a banner reading "Freedom for Political Prisoners." Nor will polling supervisors be able to wear the yellow ribbon showing solidarity with the Catalan officials in prison.
Now we're continuing our series of interviews with the 7 candidacies expected to get seats in the Catalan Parliament after the December 21st election. Today we focus on Together for Catalunya, the candidacy led by President Puigdemont, now in Belgium. He promised in 2016 the call for a binding referendum for this autumn and went ahead with a declaration of independence in Parliament about a month ago. As a consequence, Spain deposed his government and set direct rule over Catalonia. Now his candidacy wants to restore self-government and is still seeking a Catalan republic. The list has many independent candidates, but its base is PDeCAT, a party member of the ALDE group in the European Parliament. And now joining us on the show, we have a candidate for Together for Catalunya, Aurora Madaula. She is an independent candidate on the list. Thank you very much for joining us, Ms. Madaula.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So we'll get straight to the point. On your list, it's led by Puigdemont. Could he effectively be president considering the circumstances?
Of course, if this question, you can ask this question to the Spanish state. Is the Spanish state going to respect the results of the election? If our candidate, so the president of Catalonia, the legitimate president of Catalonia, wins, is gonna he be able to take possession? Is gonna he be able to come back to Catalonia and act as a president, as an elected and re-elected president?
Okay, well, as you said, so considering what Spain has actually done regarding the application of Article 155, taking away of Catalonia's autonomy, is it feasible to have a pro-independence manifesto still?
Of course. We are a nation. We have a right. We have the right of self-determination, and we are pro-independence. And this is something that they cannot take from us. We are a nation, and we are here to defend the right of self-determination and the right of the independence of Catalonia again and again.
Okay, and last question. What does your party have to say about accusations that Puigdemont fled the country without actually implementing independence?
And again, I'm trying to remake the question. Well, he was not fleeing, and the government and the president were not fleeing from Catalonia. They were or imprisoned in jail or even in exile. And in exile, trying to make this problem, this lack of democracy here in Catalonia, an international question. That is what is he doing in Belgium.
Okay, thank you very much for being on the show, Ms. Madaula.
Thank you.
Direct rule over Catalonia is having consequences beyond the electoral campaign. A long-standing dispute over art has come to a peak today. Under Article 155, Spain has decided against what was for years the policy of the Catalan government by sending a very fragile group of Romanesque artworks to another region. The Lleida Museum in Catalonia is host to 44 Romanesque artworks originally from the Sigena Monastery in Aragon. For years, where these pieces should be located has been a point of contention between the two locations. Catalonia has challenged the judge's decision to have them removed to Aragon, arguing, amongst other things, that they were too fragile to be moved there and were very well kept in Lleida. But now, with the Catalan minister disposed, his position in the dispute is much weaker. The Spanish Culture Ministry has decided not to appeal the ruling and the artworks will be transferred. We move on now to energy, as Catalonia's got good news for its environment. Some families in the central part of the country will no longer depend on big utilities companies as they will switch to renewable energy. Their dream of being self-sufficient, at least in terms of electricity, is about to come true and in style. They'll be using a unique wind turbine. It will be the first one ever paid for by citizens in the country.
It is a historic moment for green energy in Catalonia. This week, work began on the first community-owned wind turbine project entitled Living from the Air in the Sky. When completed, it'll be able to provide enough energy for up to 2,000 families. One of the initiative's promoters, Pep Puig, says its aim is to democratize energy from people by making the most of the resources available, in this case the wind, so that it benefits the local population.
Això és l'absurditat, perquè el sistema energètic convencional no es basa en aquests criteris. Es basa en aquests criteris que els beneficis van per uns pocs i el que volem és democratitzar aquesta riquesa.
The project is valued at just over 3 million euros and already has the support of 380 people. To cover the cost of the initiative, a further 120 people are needed. Within 20 years, anybody who has contributed to the project will have recovered their initial investment. From then on, they'll be saving on the energy they consume with a clean conscience that they are doing no harm to the environment. The project will be able to save between 5,000 and 6,000 tons of CO2 each year. If it all goes to plan, the wind turbine will be up and running by Christmas.
And that's all for our show today. But before we go, we want to show you a new Barcelona exhibit that gives life to classic poetry. For the 100th birthday of Catalan poet and writer Josep Palau i Fabra, the exhibition is open until April of next year, and it features colourful and innovative interpretations to the celebrated author's work. Thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow.